Hey, so in this video I'm just going to chat briefly about some of my experiences with MMA and Jiu-jitsu. For me this is a relatively poignant time to make this video because it's just been 1 year since I started. So I just thought I'd discuss in this video some of my experiences and why I would recommend it to others, and how it's felt for me after about a year of doing it and where I think I am, and perhaps what that would mean for someone new who was trying it. So first of all, just to like some caveats, I train mixed martial arts, which isn't jiu-jitsu, right? So we don't have a belt, we don't have gi, and we train with striking and stuff. But it's very, very heavily jiu-jitsu inspired, and most of the stuff we learn is jiu-jitsu in some way, right? So you could walk into one of our classes and very easily just spend the entire time doing an armbar, which jiu-jitsu guys would be very at home with. But occasionally you also walk into a class and you'll be practicing striking on the ground or whatever, which jiu-jitsu guys would probably not be very used to. So that's just like a little caveat to keep in mind. But yes, I started jiu-jitsu about a year ago, or MMA about a year ago. You'll notice I'm going to swap the terms around a bit. And on my very, very first class, I walked in, and and I'm a relatively large guy. At the time, I think I weighed about 95 kilograms. And I saw the coach, who weighed about, I'd have to say somewhere around 70. And I was like, well, this jiu-jitsu stuff is all well and good, but, there's a 25 kg weight difference. Surely it'll make account for something. And so I kind of went in hard, because he said, how, when we rolled, I was like, can I, go hard? And he was like, yeah, bro, you can go hard. And at the time, I was like, oh, I was going to, what a fool, I will beat him up. But the thing is, what I did not realize this guy was actually a purple belt. And quite an accomplished wrestler as well. So, needless to say, I got my ass handed to me quite vigorously, like many times. I think I submitted, we rolled for 5 minutes, and I think I must have submitted 50 times. Maybe not 50 times, maybe like 30 times, but just tap, 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 tap. So that was quite fun. And then there was this point where I kind of had that realization where, this is actually like a legitimate thing. It's not, because some martial arts, because I did karate when I was a kid, and some martial arts are very much like a sham, some martial arts, I'm very confident I could take some of the black belts in that martial art in a fight, because I don't think the martial art is legitimate. Kempo karate is the one I did, and I really did not think that was a legitimate fighting style. And I had a suspicion it might be something similar to what jiu-jitsu was, although I didn't 100% believe that, because I did know that jiu-jitsu was a big component of MMA. But yeah, so that kind of proved to me, I was like, I had that confirmation, I'm like, yeah, this is real, and this is a highly effective way of dealing with another human being. So then, yeah, over the next few months, I sort of started to get just a little bit of that mat awareness, because to start with, you kind of, you have no idea, not only do you not know what you're doing, but you don't know what the other guy's doing. So, for example, if the other guy gets your arm above your head here and starts rotating around you from side control to mount to the other side, and you're like, what's going on here? I have no idea what's going on. But after a few months, you realize that he's going for a head and arm choke or a head and arm triangle. And so you start to understand not only what you're doing, but what the other guy's doing, and how to what to do about it. And so that sort of came from me within the first maybe 6 months, where I was where I didn't know necessarily what to do, but at least I knew what the other guy was probably trying to do. Do you know what I mean? Because the first few months, some guy would get his hooks in, I still had no idea what's going on. And it turns out he's going for a rear naked choke. Now, so a few months after, the first 3 months, I kind of started to understand probably what the other guy was going for a little bit more, and which enabled me to develop my game a little bit. And then sort of around maybe the 6 month mark, I got some advice from my coach to just roll, trying to use less strength and be less stiff, and trying to sort of roll with it a bit more, and that and that really helped me as well. Just being a bit more loose, a bit more less, trying to use less strength and trying to be a bit more savvy with my jiu-jitsu sweeps and stuff. And then more recently, about 3 months ago, so 9 months into my training, I got some more advice about try not to be because I'd watched some of the YouTube videos where all these guys were doing big brain rubber guard. My coach was like, dude, your rubber guard's terrible. Why not just learn a nice butterfly or open guard and go with that? And that really helped as well. And now we come to here where I have been training for about a year. And so when new people come into the gym, even people around my size, I'm pretty handily able to deal with him while rolling. And I don't mean deal with him by beating him up and stuff, but just that when I'm rolling with him, I definitely feel that I'm in control and I can sort of direct how the roll goes. So within about a year for me, and that's not always the case. Every now and again, new person will come to a gym and it's super strong, and I'm like, and I won't be able to necessarily deal with him. But most people around my size are a little bit bigger. I'm now at the stage where I feel relatively confident that I'm better than them on the ground when they start, right? And some people, if this has happened, and this is something I've had to come to grips with my ego, is that some people come, and you deal with him on the first day while you're rolling, and even on the third week you're still better than while you're rolling. But by the time you get to 6 weeks in, they're better than me, and I'm like, oh god, I've been training for a year and this guy's better than me. But I think that's just sort of how it goes sometimes. Where I'm not the most talented guy. I mean, I've been showing up for a year. I'm relatively strong, but I'm not like a savant or anything, and so some people just, they're better, and they will get better quicker, and that's just something that you gotta deal with. So that is a thing that has happened. But yeah, so for the most part, about a year in now, I'm pretty confident against most people of normal body type and untrained, which is quite cool. So now just to get into, so now that's kind of some more about my experiences. Just to say that, you know how I said that multiple times, there's like sort of, I found there were quite distinct stages and quite distinct like, almost like epiphanies where, like, for example, with like arm bars, like just very specific things where you just get it, you know, it just like clicks and you're like, oh, that's how to do it. And that doesn't mean I'm any sort of arm barring savant or I'm going to be arm barring everybody every time I roll, but it just means that, like, it went from this is so clunky to, like, I kind of get this, you know. And obviously there's many stages to go, you know. There's jiu-jitsu black belts who have arm bars, you know, it's like smooth and beautiful and you're like, oh my god. But I'm kind of at the stage where I'm like, I know what to do and I kind of know how to do it with my body, and you kind of get those epiphanies with lots of different sweeps and submissions where you just kind of clicks. And for some things it takes ages, and some things it's quite quick. And that's another thing I noticed, that some people are just more talented or more used to some things work for them specifically. There's a guy at my gym who he just, like, you just gotta be careful. Like, he's so good with the head, like the arm triangle choke, that he almost stops. He, like, doesn't let himself do it because it's almost like a crutch. He's just so good with it that that's just all he'll do. And so some people are a bit like that. I for whatever reasons, relative to people around me, seem to be better at getting people's backs. It's just like, so, like, I often end up on, like, behind people, right? And that's just like it's interesting to notice that some people just seem to be naturally have natural strengths, and then of course there's natural weaknesses that go with that as well. For example, I seem to be quite weak at, like, at sweeps for whatever reason. I think that comes from, I just have a tendency to, like, try and bench press the dude off me. You know, it's like, get off me, and so sometimes I have to really stop and slow down and be like, no, I'm not here to, you know, this isn't powerlifting, it's not the bench press world champs, this is jiu-jitsu, and I need to try and remember which sweep would be appropriate, and that's a weakness of mine. So it's just kind of interesting to notice that people have these strengths and these weaknesses, and perhaps at certain points you want to work on your strengths and become better at that so you can be even better, but it's also important to make sure that you're not so weak at your weaknesses that it's hurting your game. So yeah, that's it, the training experience. Maybe just to jump into some of the, like, positive impacts, like, sort of on my life, if you will. One thing is I found that I'm a lot more humble since I started training, because I feel like I kind of had this idea that, like, you know, I mean, I'm a guy, I'll beat up anyone, you know, who's going to fight me, I'll beat him up, right? Which, as it turns out, when you try that attitude against actually trained people, they beat you up. And for me, that really helped. I guess, yeah, just kind of make me a bit more humble and a bit more respectful to people, because I'm like, well, you know, you just get put in your place so many times that it's really hard for that ego, that negative side of ego to develop. And that's not to say that you don't want a positive side of ego. You want to be confident and be forceful, but you don't want to be what's the word, like, arrogant, you know. And perhaps I had a little bit of that starting to creep in, particularly in my physical presentation. So that was good. That was a good effect. Another good effect is trying to kind of replacing some of that arrogance, perhaps, with some actually real confidence that, you know, I mean, I've been only training for a year, and I'm not that good. I'm not like some sort of savant, right? But most people of most body types, like, I would feel confident that I could manage them in a physical situation. Which is good, right? And it's nice to have that sort of confidence. And of course, that's not to say that, you know, I might get unlucky and go up against a guy who's been training MMA for 2 years and is 100 kilograms, right? Obviously, right? I mean, that, you know, so, you know, you still got to be realistic. But it has given me a bit of confidence to replace some of that arrogance, that, like, ignorant arrogance, with some perhaps slightly more informed, like, just low-key confidence, which then allows me to enjoy my day-to-day life a bit more, knowing that my confidence is a bit more well-placed. So there's that. And then, of course, there's the fitness side of things, so I've been training like weights for quite a while. So I've always been strong, right, or stronger than a lot of people. But it's nice to add some cardiovascular fitness to that. Obviously, if you're training mixed martial arts, I've also done a bit of Muay Thai as well. So, but yeah, so if you're training mixed martial arts multiple times a week, it's pretty hard not to be fit. So, you know, cardiovascular fitness, it's good for you. Useful, practical in everyday life, you know, when you're walking or running places. So that's a nice effect. Obviously, the social side of things is really cool. The people at my gym are really both for, like, management, like the higher ups, but also the, like, you know, just the normal people there. It's really nice interacting with them. It's a cool vibe. You know, before gym, you know, you chat to them for 20 minutes, whatever. Then afterwards, you chat, you know, as you get changed and as you do a cleanup. And during as well, you know, you just get those, like, it's a nice social interaction. So that's enjoyable. And what else? I guess also there's just something about the actual experience itself is fun. I actually enjoy, like, when I'm doing jiu-jitsu or MMA or whatever, It's sort of like someone took chess and combined it with, I don't know, like a physical activity. You know, so I kind of get that like cerebral side of things with like big brain, like what should I do here? What's the next move? And you get to mix that with the physical side of things of, you know, well, like, can I do this activity? Am I strong enough? Am I powerful enough? Do I have the speed? And so it's a really enjoyable, like, it's just a fun, like the actual activity itself is fun, and I think that really helps. So yeah, now I'm 1 year in, and I'm kind of looking forward to the next year. I really wish, one thing that goes through my mind when I think about being 1 year in is I really wish I could roll with myself from 1 year ago and just kind of see what's changed and what hasn't changed, right? And that would be really interesting. But I think that if I were to roll with myself from 1 year ago, it would not be close, which is cool. And it's nice to know that. Because it makes it feel like I've achieved something, even if it's just because I'm just really, for me, I'm in competition with myself. I'm not necessarily here to compete with anybody else at my gym or anything, but it just makes me feel happy that I'm better than I was, and that's yeah. So that's kind of a story of my jiu-jitsu / MMA journey over the past year, and hope you enjoyed this like rambling vlog. Thanks very much, and have a great day.